Hey, what is up, everyone? Today is Tuesday, which means that it's time for another live Q&A. Today, I have a very special guest. We have Daniel here from the YouTube channel, Daniel Sells Online. If you guys watch my videos, subscribe to my channel, you know I make a lot of videos about dropshipping, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, videos like that. If you like my stuff, you're going to like Daniel's stuff because he talks about the same things. He has his own spin on things. And so I thought I'd bring him on the channel today to help answer questions, kind of give his opinion on stuff. So Daniel, welcome. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you. Happy to be here. And as always, it's always great to connect with you and your audience. So happy to be here and answer some questions.
Awesome. And by the way, guys, Daniel's info is linked up down below. I've actually just have his YouTube channel. Should have put your Instagram on there as well. What's your Instagram though? Just Daniel Sells Online as well?
The handle is at Daniel Sauce Online, just like the
Awesome.
channel. Yeah.
Easy enough. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, first, man, how are you? I know we chatted last week briefly, but like, how are you? Like, how's sales going for you? We're just getting into quarter 4 pretty much. So I kind of wanted to touch
Right.
base about it.
Yeah, definitely. So, like I was just commenting a few moments ago offline, I've seen a big positive movement this month in October, like we were all hoping for. And like in
Hmm.
previous years, it typically happens with the Halloween holiday. People like to spend a lot of money for Halloween. They like to decorate, they like to get dressed up, and there's a lot of things that you can buy for your holiday, for your Halloween event. So I did well with those items. There's been some other items that you typically need that are kind of evergreen, and by evergreen I mean items that are available all year round, and you probably need them. So I made mention of things like tools have been doing very well for me in October. So I'm starting to see that trend, which is a positive one, that even though obviously economy, big topic, big issue, people are very
Yeah.
concerned, but people are still buying. Like people are still buying, and if things that you actually need, they will purchase them from you if you get them in front of your customer. So far October's been positive. Now we're getting into November. Critical next 2 months,
Hmm.
and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Tools have always been my number one. Well, like home improvement items. Uh, More generally, I would say just like home goods or like my top category, but more specifically, home improvement items have always been some of my
Right.
best selling items on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. So I always think it's a great niche to get into. For some reason, people are happy to buy that stuff online, not really shop around, and they go to places like eBay and Facebook Marketplace for it. Um, I
Yeah.
think you were saying before how like people they don't want to hire help right now. I think this is what you were saying, and I think I agree with that. Right? Like they don't want to hire a contractor to come and fix something up because things are getting harder out there, so they're gonna do it themselves. Or rather, spend the money on tools that they can do it themselves, and then still have the tools left over. Right?
Yeah, exactly. If you are a do-it-yourself type of person, which a lot of people out there know how to do things,
Hmm.
and right now money is a little tight, then yeah, you're gonna go out and get some of the things yourself and fix it. So, like I said earlier, great niche, whether it's on eBay or even Facebook Marketplace. So I kind of been doubling down on some of those items, and also the data shows it, right? So if you go to Marketplace and you look for items that potentially have a high probability of selling, it'll tell you how many have sold. And tools, that niche, I keep seeing a lot of listings that have sold over multiple times. So the data is there, and definitely something to consider if you are having any doubts or questions about what products to sell.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, Question here from Tyler says, "Are Facebook sales still slow? It seems like it's still down." We kind of just talked about this, but how have the sales been for you specifically past couple of months?
So yeah, yeah. So
I, I, I
so
guess I
I
guess it
guess the
means
answer
Facebook Marketplace would be my guess
is
on that
marketplace.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
So
Sorry.
yeah, so I mean, the answer is it's relative, right? Because what are you comparing it to? right? So
Mm.
if you're comparing it to Facebook Marketplace, 2020, 2021, then I would say yes, it's slow. It's not the same as it was 2 years ago. Now, whether you want to compare it to this year, I would say at the beginning of this year, it was slow and it continued to be slow, throughout, the summer months. So if I compare it to 2022, I would say that it's picking up again, but I wouldn't compare it to, last year or even 2020 when there were some crazy amount of sales. But nevertheless, I mean, sales are still pretty consistent. So I run, two personal marketplace accounts, and working with my virtual assistants, me, putting my fingerprints on this as well, just because of the knowledge that I bring to the table with, my dropshipping experience. We're getting a lot of listing clicks. I mean, both of our accounts over the past 30 days have generated over 20,000 listing clicks. So the
Mm.
attention is there. People are clicking, people are interested. We're getting messages. Now, would I like the conversion to be a lot higher? Absolutely. I want to say that I'm selling 100 products a day, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
We're selling about, more or less, about 10, 15 products a week. And this is just October. So I'm hoping that number continues to climb as we head into November and December.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because if the pandemic never happened, right? And you were looking at a platform, let's say like Walmart. For a while, some people were drop shipping on Walmart. Um, if you looked at that and saw, okay, the first 2 years on Walmart, people were doing really good numbers, and then the next year it dropped, and then the next year it dropped, and the next year it dropped. You would kind of assume that it's dying off. It's getting too saturated, something like that. But we're in this kind of anomaly because with Facebook Marketplace, it is so new and it was new during the pandemic. So like we don't
Yeah.
have like a good stable baseline to go off of. It launched pretty much during the pandemic. So it took off like right away. We saw great sales on there, and now we're in the complete opposite of where we were, where it's kind of like the economy's cooling off. It's kind of almost worse in a way than it was before the pandemic. So it's just like there's no baseline to go off of here. For all things
Yeah.
considered, like you were saying, I think where we are right now is pretty good. Of course, like you were saying, it definitely could be better, but all things considered, I think it's pretty good right now going into
Yeah.
Q4.
Yeah, exactly. We don't really have like a benchmark to really, measure what would be a kind of, prototypical, normal year selling on Facebook, right? Because the pandemic happened, that was an anomaly, right? That wasn't
Yeah,
something that happens every year.
yeah,
Now you have economic factors, also impacting it. So another, anomaly into the mix. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what 2023 brings. Hopefully more stability, more fixes on the platform itself from a marketplace perspective, like making it more easier for both seller and buyer to be able to transact.
hmm,
And also maybe, making it easier for you to promote your listings on Facebook Marketplace. I know there's a boost option, I think now
yeah,
that's available, but making it more easy for sellers to use,
yeah.
as
I'm
opposed
curious.
to making you to run ads.
Yeah, I'm curious, kind of like where you kind of see Facebook Marketplace going, because a lot of people ask me this, and you know, it's a lot different than eBay and Amazon. So I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure what their plans are, what Meta's plans are for Facebook Marketplace. So kind of curious what your prediction is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's really kind of hard to say, where. I mean, there's two, products here, offered by Meta, right? So you have the
Mm,
marketplace, and then you've got Facebook Shops, right, which are two different ways of buying and selling on Facebook at this moment in time. So I think that marketplace will continue to be kind of that place where it's your neighborhood, like it's your neighbors, your friends, shopping locally.
mm-hmm,
I think that will continue to be a thing. And whether it evolves, past that, it's really hard to say. I wish I had a crystal ball.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, did you want to get something in? Sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Um, and as far as Facebook shops, I think really that's the one that's kind of like the wild card. Like, what is really going to be the future with shops, right? Because with shops is great because you get that traffic coming over from the marketplace, right? Without that, then practically you are bringing in traffic yourself because you already have an established business, you have a website, you have people who know your brand, and they can buy from you on Facebook as well if they follow your business page, and you're pretty much doing a lot of like personal branding, right? So I think that's kind of maybe the future with shops. Hopefully it continues to have this whole element of also accessing that traffic that's coming from Facebook Marketplace. But I think the customer that buys on Facebook Marketplace is very different. It's not like the customer that buys on Amazon, for example.
Hmm.
I think there's a very interesting dynamic with the kind of person that buys on these platforms. I think that on Amazon is definitely more, I would say, my assumption, people a little bit more, middle of the road incomes, maybe a little bit higher, they can afford to pay that $140 Prime membership to get product shipped to your house within hours. It's kind of like the premium consumer, and they've already kind of established that to them time is of an essence, and I want to get my product right now. So it's a very premium customer. The Facebook customer is not like that. They're more bargain, they're more
Hmm.
local, they're more wanting to get value at a fair price. And I think that's kind of the future there. I might be totally wrong. I may be totally off base, and it becomes like the next Amazon competitor. Who knows?
Yeah, I
But
think I think
we can only speculate at this point, really.
yeah, I mean that's kind of my feeling too. I do think that Facebook is or Meta, whatever, is missing like a big opportunity because right now Facebook, whatever. I'm gonna keep using Facebook Meta, the same thing. Okay. Um, I
It's
think
the
Meta
same.
right now is they're obviously struggling. Their their
Yeah.
stock is way down. Like it's so cheap now compared to what it used to be, and they're struggling. And I think that marketplace could be a place for them to make up some of that lost revenue. Their fee is 5%, which I'm happy about. I love that. But I would not be opposed to a slight increase in that fee in exchange for them improving it, specifically kind of the bugs on Facebook Marketplace, but even building out shops a lot more, improving it, really making it more so that you can run a business on there. You can have your entire brand represented on there in some cases, or in our cases, have an entire store on there, um, running and drop shipping from there. I think it could
Right.
potentially be a huge opportunity for Meta, but I'm not the CEO, so I don't make those decisions.
Yeah, I mean, it
Let's.
feels like it's been abandoned a little bit. Their commerce part of the Meta business, because of just the issues, right? There isn't too much help from a support perspective, although it is getting a little bit better. I remember last year how just difficult it was to get in contact with someone to help you because you had an account issue.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's a lot of growing pains. The 5% selling fee, it's great for drop shippers. Obviously, we can pocket a little bit more profit, but if that means increase it a bit, like you just said, and we get a much better experience, a more robust platform, then yeah, I'm all for it. As well. I mean, at the end of the day, we just want to have a working platform where we have an algorithm that behaves like like an algorithm, and actually drives customers to listings like most other platforms do. And
Yeah.
it'll be easier to make more rhyme and reason of how this entire thing kind of works. Right now it's still kind of left up in the air exactly how is it that the products get recommended to customers. Where do they see them? It's still a big mystery.
Yeah, it really is. Um, what suppliers are you using right now? Because Christina sent in a message saying Toys R Us is back. Wants to know if you could drop ship from Toys R Us. So personally, I've never drop shipped from Toys R Us. I'm sure it's possible, just like with any supplier, but I have no experience. But first, do you have an experience with Toys R Us? But even if you don't, like, good segue into what suppliers you've been using lately.
Yeah, I mean, for toys, I've always used Walmart as my main supplier for drop shipping, especially during the holidays. I've never, done anything with Toys R Us. And as far as suppliers that I'm currently using, eBay is my main one
Hmm.
for Facebook drop shipping, um, and also Walmart to some extent. Although I have scaled back a little bit from Walmart, but I still do use them,
Yeah.
and I still use Amazon, but very strategically. So I
Mm.
try to find items that do very well, but I don't list as many of them, and kind of switch around listings so I don't have so many always out there open, just in case I have an item that kind of goes bonkers and I have to make repetitive orders like over and over again, right?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be such a good thing. But I do use Amazon strategically, very creatively, as to not wake anybody up and they kind of come knocking. Are you drop shipping? No, I'm not.
Are you using Prime for that, or are you just using Amazon without Prime?
No, so I'm using. I mean, this is probably crazy, and I'm probably going against every single advice you've heard from dropshippers. But I use my personal Amazon account, and the reason why is because I've had that account
Hmm.
for such a long time that it's just a pain to have to set up another one and go through the whole tax exception process. Which, by the way, it doesn't take very long time. But honestly, I'm just being lazy. So I'll continue
But
to
you have
use my
Prime
my
on
own
that one.
account. I
You have
have
Prime.
Prime on that account, but what I do is that when you go to checkout, there's options of how fast you want the product to
Oh
arrive. So
yeah.
there's
Hmm.
2-day Prime, and then you have other options where it might take a little bit longer. So I always go for the one that might take a little bit longer.
So this is
I go with
interesting
that option.
because I've been on and off with drop shipping from Amazon. I did a lot of it at first, then I stopped because I only stopped because I was doing really well with Home Depot. So I kind of went all in with Home Depot and then Walmart for a while. And then we started running into issues with Amazon's eBay didn't really seem to like it, so I stopped, or I didn't start doing it because of that. Then I was drop shipping from Amazon onto Facebook because I was working really well when Facebook Marketplace first launched. Um, but then I stopped for a while again, and I just started Amazon again for eBay. Again, I'm kind of like testing it. It's like a little bit more strategic, like what you were saying, and it's working. But the interesting thing here is that I'm using the same Amazon account this entire time, and it's the same Amazon
Hmm.
account I've had since college. I'm pretty sure. Um, I don't know if there's a way to see how old your Amazon account is, but this is the only one I've this is the first one I've ever had, and it was my personal one too. So I'm wondering if maybe like older Amazon accounts kind of skirt that problem or can get away with more than newer ones. You know what I mean? Because you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's actually a great point and a very good observation. So I've had my Amazon account for now well over 10 years.
Yeah.
I was one of the very early adopters when it came to buying on Amazon. They got me with the 2-day shipping.
Yeah.
It worked. So maybe there's something to it. I mean, again, I haven't really gotten to the point drop shipping from Amazon where I'm processing like multiple orders on the same day, or even a high number of sales throughout a week. So I don't know how much that goes into the equation, because I know that a lot of the people who I've spoken to who had issues with Amazon drop shipping did tell me that they were doing very like high scale amount of orders, like in the
Yeah.
hundreds.
Right.
Um, so as long as you're not, if you're not that, person
Hmm.
that's doing that amount of volume, then I guess Amazon will look the other way. But believe me, that thought crosses my mind every single time I place an order on Amazon. Is this the one that's gonna do it? But knock on wood, hopefully that's never the case. And like I said, and you also echo the same thing, is that I do it strategically. I try to actually put a lot more of my need as a supplier on eBay.
Yeah. And that's something we talked about last week. You and Patrick kind of convinced me to try eBay for Facebook Marketplace. And I get it. I mean, it's a great supplier for Facebook Marketplace because, like you were saying before, the customers are different on these different marketplaces. And eBay and Facebook Marketplace are probably the customer base is more aligned with what types of items are looking for. So it's a cool strategy.
Yeah, I
Um,
think the Facebook Marketplace customer is a very budget customer. And I actually mentioned this on one of my most recent videos that I published on my channel last week. Is that before there was a shipping option on Facebook Marketplace, people were still buying, right? And people were buying the same stuff that they're buying now, but now they're getting shipped to them, right? It's really like kind of the only difference. And a lot of things that they were buying are things that they can find like a great deal on. Like nobody, I mean, again, this is just my opinion, but if you're buying on Facebook Marketplace, and let's say you want to buy a, I don't know, a desk for your computer. You're looking for something that, hey, maybe I can get it cheaper here than if I go to Walmart, or I try to buy from Amazon. So I think that's kind of still into the psychology of the consumer on Facebook, that they're looking for value. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of these lower priced items do so well on Facebook Marketplace, because
hmm.
it's $25. I won't even think twice about it. I'll buy
Yeah.
it. And the great thing if you're a drop shipper is that that same $25 item, you probably found it on eBay and it probably cost you $8.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
a win-win. Like the customer, perceived that he got value, and then you as a drop shipper, you got value because you were able to flip it for even more.
Yeah. And I also think it's just like convenience. You're on your phone, you have Facebook already, you can open up Facebook Marketplace. You're looking for something, like you were saying, impulse buy. It's so easy to do.
Yeah,
Steve was having problems with eBay, seemed to get kicked off. He's looking at moving on to online arbitrage for Amazon. You have any experience with that? Oh wait, have you sold at all on Amazon, Daniel?
yes, I did sell on Amazon, but I strictly did it with either a wholesaler that was able to drop ship for me.
Oh, okay.
And I also did it where I actually was purchasing items from a wholesaler and I was sending it into to FBA. But I've never done any sort of retail drop shipping on Amazon.
Do you s- do you still do that on Amazon? The wholesale drop shipping, wholesale FBA?
I was doing it up until last year, because the relationship that I had built with one of the suppliers didn't work out, because the prices just went up too high for me to source from
Mm,
them, and it wasn't profitable enough for me to sell. So I walked away from that, and then I just had difficulty finding another one that would work, with the margins.
yeah.
Um, and then kind of Facebook came into the picture, so then I kind of decided to just double down and give it my absolute attention. But at some point, I do want to go back and really explore that further and see if I can find myself another supplier to work with.
Yeah. I have some experience with wholesale suppliers for drop shipping, and you're right. Like, it's really hard to find a good supplier. Once you do, like, you only need like one or two, and that could be like your whole business, which is a little scary, but it's just the reality of it. But like you said, if it
Yep.
goes, it goes. So Amazon, it's I think it's a great platform to sell on just because of the volume of customers, but it's a hard one. It's a hard one. It's, you have to keep up the metrics. Obviously, I drop shipped there for years, doing retail drop shipping, which is totally against their terms of service, but we did it anyway, and it worked for a while. I still know people who are doing it really well, but it's a grind. It's really, really tough because of their rules and their metrics on there. So that's why that's one of the reasons I stopped last year, and also because I'm always teaching people how to do everything I'm doing, whether it's eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Amazon, and it's hard for me to teach people how to dropship on the Amazon anymore because it's so hard for beginners to get started on it. As soon as you start, if you start your Amazon account and start dropshipping right away, there's a more than 50% chance that you're going to get banned by Amazon. You can get your account back, but then it's a huge hassle. So most new sellers cannot dropship onto Amazon, which is just the reality. So yeah, so I stopped doing it, but I just started doing some OA onto Amazon, kind of explore that, using a lot of what I learned actually from retail drop shipping to sell on Amazon doing OA, because I just got really good with different suppliers and their discounts and discount coupons and discounted gift cards, things like that. So it's just kind of opened up kind of some possibilities for me that I think a lot of people in the OA space don't even know about, which is pretty cool. So
yeah,
if you ever decide to do it,
Amazon,
it'd be good. It'd be good transition for you.
no, yeah, and the great thing about Amazon is that all it takes is, if you find one ASIN, and for those who don't know, an ASIN is a unique identifier. It's a number that is linked to a product on the Amazon, list of products that they sell across their entire, database. So every product has an ASIN number. So if you find a product and you find the ASIN and you look at the data, there's a ton of free platforms out there that can give you information on that ASIN that's, sales wise. If you find a product and you can actually get access to a good size of them, and the competition is another thing also to consider, because when you're selling on Amazon, you're actually sharing a listing, and you actually are sharing the buy button on that listing. So the lesser the competition, then the higher the probability that when you rotate, meaning you take turns on that listing, that you'll start getting sales, and you actually stay on there for a while, like maybe for a few hours before it rotates again. All you need to do is find one ASIN, because if you are actually, on the listing, the seller rank of that product is it's good, you'll get a ton of sales. Like, it won't
Yeah.
stop. Like, you're gonna be like, stop! I can't, I can't get no more orders in, because that's just how it works. And that's what I love about Amazon, is that it's a lot of work up front, but if you find a couple ASINs that do very well, with the sales data you're able to find, and the competition is not something crazy, you can make a ton of money by just drop shipping, less than 10 products.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. It's just the key is finding those ones.
Yeah, it's finding them. Yeah.
Okay, good question from Anthony. He says, how important are subtitles, bolded titles, and listings? Do you guys play around with that on eBay? Been seeing steady sales, but definitely want to drive more eyes, but just thinking cost benefit. And I'll be honest with you, I've never even tried subtitles, bolded titles, any of those additional options on there when you're listing an item onto eBay that cost extra. I'll be honest, I've never even tried it, which, as Anthony has asked me that question, I'm kind of asking myself why I've never tried it, besides the fact that it costs money. Have you fooled around with that at all?
No, and again, probably for the same reasons. It's
Yeah.
because you have to pay for that. And if you're dropshipping on eBay, I hope you're already, taking full advantage of promoted listings. So if you're doing at least 2%, then you already, if the sale happens and it is in a promoted listing, you're gonna get 2% less. So why would you want to invest into sub headlines, which is gonna cost you like another dollar or so, eat up into your profits? For eBay, really, one is it's a good product, meaning that you probably use Zeek Analytics. You found data on the product. It's a good seller. Just have a very good, highly optimized product image. Differentiate yourself from the competition. I'm sorry, and have a good title, right? I mean, those two things. You don't really need those additionals. I mean, I see sellers that use them, but a lot of these sellers are selling in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, on eBay, so they can afford it if they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm kind of, I kind of just, this isn't the best advice. This is actually pretty bad advice, but um, I kind of sometimes look at things like as a consumer myself, and when I'm scrolling through eBay, subtitles and bold listings make zero difference into my buying decision. Now, I say that's
right.
terrible advice because, there's so many things that manipulate us as consumers that we're not even aware of. So it's very possible that it does influence my buying decisions and I just don't know about it, which is so scary, but that's, that's the way it works, right? Just like advertisements on TV, you think, oh, I hate advertisements, but they're really working into your brain and getting you to eventually buy the item, whether you know it or not. Um, so that's why I say it's terrible advice. Really, what you should do is test it. But for the exact reasons Daniel said, I just don't think it's the best thing to do for drop shippers.
Yeah, I would share the same sentiment. Test it yourself. See if you see the needle, move in a positive direction, and if it does, maybe you stumble onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alejandro says, instead of wasting billions in the metaverse, they should invest in fixing these platforms and monetizing them. Hey, write a letter to Zuck. I'm not in charge over there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they should, but I guess they think that's their future. It's the metaverse.
Yep. Okay, so as someone who's done some retail, wholesale, I should say, and obviously you do some retail, what would you say is the difference? Like the pros and cons of each wholesale versus retail? Christina's asking.
So wholesale dropshipping versus retail dropshipping.
Well, all she says, all the question is wholesale versus retail. So you can interpret that as you want. Maybe just like, what's it like to work with wholesale suppliers versus retail suppliers, or just wholesale drop shipping versus retail drop shipping in general.
Okay, so I guess a very short answer would be retail easy, wholesale hard. Yeah, I mean, wholesale is a whole different animal because it's a traditional way that that companies would get products to consumers. Like you go, whether it's a manufacturer directly or a wholesaler, you will get the products from them so that you can go ahead and resell at a markup at retail price, which is what all these big box retailers do. It's a lot harder, especially for an individual. It takes months, if maybe not years, of just forming relationships. Going to actual places with this industry actually does networking. There's a bunch of different shows throughout the U.S. that they congregate and they show you all these new things that they're going to be selling, and that's kind of form relationships. But for most people, that's something that can be of a challenge. I mean, with retail, much easier. um, all you have to do is visit the website, take a look at the products that they already have, and you can easily purchase them. There is no gatekeeper that's keeping you from
Hmm.
doing it, and listen them for sale, whether you're selling on eBay or selling on Amazon or selling on Facebook. The barriers to entry are much lower with retail. Wholesale, higher barrier to entry. Obviously, more profitability, but it takes a while to really master, learn, and kind of form those relationships.
Yeah, for sure. But one of the cool things about wholesale, like you were saying before, is you get that relationship. You only need one, and it could be just be a few SKUs, and like that's your whole
Yes.
business, right? If you find
Yeah.
those good ones and
Yeah.
no one else found them, it could be huge for you. So it's like it's like so many of the businesses out there. Like the harder you're willing to work up front, sometimes the more it pays off in the future. But it could be a lot of work and it could be a lot of time. So something like retail dropshipping, that's why I love it, because it's so kind of straightforward in a way, lower barrier to entry, like you were saying, just like simple to get started. Like you can make your first sale pretty quick, and that like shows you this works. And that's like, there's nothing better than getting that type of motivation where it's like you get that sale and you're like, oh man, this works. Like, let's go. Like, let's go all in with this. And if it takes you months to get there with something like wholesale, you might give up beforehand because you're just like, I still don't know if this is going to work. Like after like 3 months, you might not even made your first sale. So you might give up, which happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think if whether you want to go the wholesale route or go the retail route, I mean, I think you kind of have to be, committed to one or the other. Especially if you are considering to do any type of wholesale, then you really want to go down the rabbit hole of wholesale, how it works. How do you make those connections? Because you're absolutely right. If you find the right fit as a supplier and they're a wholesaler company, and you form that relationship, all you need is a couple SKUs, and they have all the inventory you're ever going to need. You're never going to run out, and you'll make a ton of money. So yeah, you're absolutely right. From that point of view, it could be very lucrative, but it does take a little bit more work.
Okay. So a question from Glenn. I've answered this question a million times, so I'm going to let you answer this question so I don't have to answer it again. He said some
Okay.
suppliers like Walmart ship with brand packaging and the receipt in the box. I've seen a few customers complain about it. So take it away. I'm not answering it again.
Okay. So you're absolutely right. Yes, you can probably get a box that is probably branded, and you probably might get a box that has a receipt. It's going to happen, right? Now, whether that's gonna affect you and no one will ever buy from you ever again, that is not true. It's a very small percentage of people who that even might bother them, right? A lot of times, if, from a consumer standpoint, all you really are worried about is making sure that your product arrived on time, safely, it's not broken. I mean, when I get stuff shipped to me, I can care less about the box. I mean, people ship things in different type of boxes. I think it's a very small percentage of people that, and when I say people, I'm talking about customers who might really, have an issue with it. I mean, I have had situations where they actually message me and say, "Oh, I got this in an Amazon box. You're sending me stuff from Amazon," and they were like, very angry about it. But I mean, what are you gonna do? You try to resolve the situation. If they're still, being, very nasty to you, then just, say, okay, I'm sorry. Let me give you a refund, and we'll call it a day and move on to the next one. But it's not something that should keep you from trying to do drop shipping, retail drop shipping. It happens, but it's not as bad as a problem as you think that it might be.
Yeah. And the only thing I'll add to that, I said I wouldn't answer it, but I've been
Go
buying a
for
lot
it.
of stuff.
Go for it.
I've been buying a lot of stuff from eBay recently to resell on Amazon, and a lot of the stuff I buy from eBay comes in an Amazon box. Not because it's coming from Amazon, but because people
Right.
reuse boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I get
Yeah.
stuff from Walmart boxes, Home Depot boxes because they buy those boxes from Walmart and Home Depot. I get them from Amazon boxes because they reuse them. I got one. I got a DVD today that came in a Harry's shave kit box, like the Harry's subscription service for shavers. So yeah, I mean, people just reuse boxes. That's to be expected, especially from us small sellers, which people think is who they're buying from when they're buying from on eBay. So yeah, people don't care.
Yeah. I mean, Home Depot sells you boxes that are branded Home Depot, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a big deal.
Okay. Anthony, follow up question about this whole Amazon dropshipping from Amazon. Is there a way to just filter for non-prime products on Amazon from the get-go? Because he thinks all bands are prime related for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, my advice there is just create a new Amazon account and don't sign up for Amazon Prime on that account. And use that one for drop shipping. That's pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see. Christina says Steve Rakin, my buddy Steve Rakin, has a great course for OA plus free videos. He's great to work with. Yeah, if you're looking for OA, he's definitely one of the top guys out there. Okay, so you have a couple of VAs. Do you use a VPN with them?
So I do not use VPN. What we do use is a remote desktop connection.
Oh, really?
So they can access my laptop and they do what they need to
Oh.
do on Facebook Marketplace. But what I have done is that I have a laptop that is solely, for their use. So that way, there's no concern about them looking around things they shouldn't be looking around. So that would be kind of the workaround to it. But I found that remote desktop is a lot better, at least for Facebook. But as far as a VPN to mask your IP, if you're doing any kind of eBay, I've never used a VPN before. For eBay, I never really had the need for it. So I really can't speak too much on that subject.
I didn't know you did that. That's really cool. I've thought about that. Obviously, the issue I had was I'm not going to give a random person access to my computer because there's so much personal information on there. But you just set up a whole
Right.
new computer for them that's like in your house, but they access remotely. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's
Oh,
what I ended up
so
doing. I
cool.
mean, it's a I guess depending on your financials, it could be considered like a expensive investment, but like anything, it's an investment now, but it'll pay it back itself, within a few months' time,
Yeah. So what do
maybe
you
faster.
just leave it on the whole time for them to access whenever they need to?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
I feel like I have a million questions about that, but I feel like most people wouldn't be interested in it. Yeah. So back to the question. I I have a lot of experience with VPNs. Um, so I never use one when I access eBay, and none of my virtual assistants ever use it when they access eBay, even if they're from another country. It just has never been an issue. Um, we do use a VPN when my VA logs into my Facebook account, which for that she has to access my personal Facebook account. So for that we use a dedicated static VPN it's called. So a lot of these commercial services like NordVPN, they share IP addresses. So like they'll have like 20 IP addresses they use. If Daniel and I both use NordVPN, we might be using the same IP address along with thousands of other people. So it's not a great idea for what we do because we don't want to share IP addresses with people. With a dedicated static VPN, the one I use is called IP Burger. I think it's linked up in the description of my video. With that, I get an IP address that no one else gets, and it stays the same. So I use that when I log into Facebook. My VA uses that when she logs into my Facebook. So it's worked for us. We haven't had any issues. But yeah, I kind of like your method. I think that's pretty cool. I'll have to think more about that. So pretty neat.
Yeah.
Uh, what is a VPN? VPN, virtual private network. It's just you're masking your IP address basically. So it kind of looks like you're accessing whatever website you're accessing from another location. Oh, when my VAs do use VPNs is when they're buying stuff from certain websites like Home Depot, they will use a VPN because if they try to access Home Depot from outside the United States, it won't work. So that's when it comes in handy.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. What are the questions we got? Um, a lot of questions about what Steve is doing. uh, okay. Um, all right. Oh, it's not really a question. Okay. Christina wants to know, do you use any spreadsheets to track your products and get to the bottom line when tax time comes around? Oh yeah, that's a great question. Like what do you do for when it comes tax season? Like how do you organize and stay on top of all that?
Right. So what I do is try to keep my accounting separate. So all of my product purchases happens on my business credit cards. So from that perspective, I have detailed billing of everything that I spent for the business when it comes to buying products or any other expense that is related to my whole drop shipping business. So I
Hmm.
have that. I also do keep spreadsheets of information that comes from the marketplaces. So with Facebook, I do keep track of the sales that I've received. I tend to be very detailed about that, just because sometimes mistakes can happen. So I do that, and then on my personal business checking account, I'm only getting payments sent there. So then I know exactly how much I'm earning, and then I just take everything that I've earned minus all my expenses, and then that's kind of my net, so I know where I am. And then all of that information, obviously, I bring that to my accountant, and we go through it together. I also use QuickBooks as well to make it easier. And QuickBooks gives you like a bunch of different accounting reports based on the information that you're fitting QuickBooks from your credit card, your bank account. They will organize it, categorize it for you. I mean, you can do a lot of things with the software. So I use them too. But I mean, yeah, I mean, sometimes like I try to get it right all the time, but sometimes there's always a room for error. Sometimes a lot of things are estimates. For the most part, I have a very good accountant. So, I don't worry about it too much at the end of the year. I have all the information that, he or she needs, and we get it done.
Yeah, that separation is really important because it really helps you stay organized. Bookkeeping is definitely something that's not a strength of mine. Um, I do have a bookkeeper that does that for me. I have multiple streams of income between different marketplaces, YouTube, some affiliate marketing, like so many different income streams, which I'm really grateful for. But it's just like I'd be totally lost. So I do have a bookkeeper that does that. But yeah, you have to give them the information, and the only way to do that is by giving them access to my statements from my business accounts, which really
Yep.
makes a huge difference. But the other reason it's important is not only for taxes, but like you were saying, like look at the reports. Like, what's your P&L statement is called profit and loss. Like, are you actually making money? Like, how much money have you put
Yeah.
in and how much money you getting out? Like, it's hugely important so that you know that the business is actually working for you. One place
Exactly.
I struggle, I'm do you what do you do with all the receipts? Do you save them or do you just put them into a folder in Gmail? What do you do with yours? Like for the products?
So all of them are in my inbox.
Okay. You just keep them there.
So
You don't worry about it.
yeah, they're electronically, and I use Gmail, so you can create labels and categorize. So I have some that are coming from the purchases made on eBay,
Right.
on the other suppliers that I use, and I keep it organized. I'm very big on organization, like even in my personal life. So
I
I'm
love
very
that.
organized when it comes to these sort of things.
I'm all about that. I love it.
Otherwise, I'll go crazy if I
Yeah.
don't organize.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because that's exactly what I do. I just, they always say every expense you have for your business, you should save your receipts for it. But I'm always
Yeah.
like, do I have to take them out of Gmail? Because that would be a lot of work. So for now, I'm leaving them just in Gmail and just, I have like you said, I have a label for it, so it's all good. But I think the struggle for a lot of people is when you work for a business, it's very straightforward. Like you get a paycheck, you know exactly how much you've made. You don't get any expenses, you don't get any deductions. It's like that's it.
Right.
You make 70K a year, that's your income, and the
Yep.
business takes the taxes out for you. So I'm not saying this to scare people. Working for yourself is definitely a lot better in many ways. But it's just things you got to be aware of, right?
Yeah, especially you want to maximize your tax benefits. So obviously, categorizing all of your expenses is great because there's different tax incentives, based on the expenses that your business incurs. So having expenses is actually a good thing come the end of the
Yeah,
year.
totally. Lorenzo wants to know: do you buy any tracking numbers for products?
I do. Yes.
Okay. Do you can you share like who you buy from? Do you use Track Taco
Oh yeah,
or?
yeah, of course. It's Truck Taco. I think they used to be called something else. I started using them specifically for Amazon, right? Because sometimes you get the TBA tracking and you
Mhm.
can't use TBA tracking. That's the main reason why I buy them. I think it's convenient. It solves a problem, especially if you're drop shipping from Amazon. And they're also very helpful too. Now that we're getting into like the busier season, where normally your suppliers such as eBay, or Walmart, they typically take about 3 days to get the tracking number to you. But now as we head into the busier time of the year, it might take them a little longer. You might not get it within 3 days. So these tracking numbers are helpful because it'll be a placeholder while you wait for the actual tracking.
Mhm. Yeah, but yeah, I use that too, but don't scam your customers. Don't use it to scam your
No.
customers.
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
okay, let's see. What are your thoughts on each? Hey, what's up, Patrick? Patrick was hanging out with us last week.
Oh, we should invite him back.
What's going on here? Um, Patrick starting FBA. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
No, I mean I know he's played around with the idea, but I didn't know he had made it official.
Maybe that's what they're talking about. I got to follow up with him. Do you know what he's doing? Was he talking about a private label or?
No, I mean he's made mention that he's interested in kind of getting into Amazon FBA, but he's still kind of new to the concept and still learning a lot.
Hmm.
Um, so he wasn't fully committed on it. I mean, the last time he kind of brought it up inside of his private group.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Maybe he pivoted and he's going all in. I guess.
we'll see. We'll see. Um, okay, what repricer are you using and why? Basically, I use AutoDS. I've used DSM Tool in the past, but I like the features of AutoDS. Um, I'm never afraid to change. I've I gotta be careful what I say. Once I badmouth a software company and they tried to like take down my entire YouTube channel. So
No
I'm always careful.
way.
Oh yeah, yeah, it happened. That happened. Uh, I just said facts actually, but they didn't like the facts. Um,
Oh,
so,
okay.
but the point is, I'm willing to be honest with everyone about software and how it works and how well it works or doesn't work. Um, but I've been sticking with AutoDS because it just works for me and I'm happy with it. So yeah, I don't have to get say anything bad about it because there's nothing bad to say. What are you using right now, Daniel?
So for eBay, I do use a couple obscure suppliers. So for them, I need to use SKU Grid as my repricer and out of stock checker. For some of the other products that I drop ship that are more in the traditional sense that you can find on most of the the retail suppliers that most people know, I do use AutoDS
Cool.
as well, and with Facebook because I also drop ship on Facebook. I've used a mixed bag of different software. So I started out with this lesser known software, but it's called Hexalister. I
Hmm.
started with them. Obviously, I've also used FBM Fox, and as of right now, I've kind of switched over to AutoDS because since I also dropship on eBay, I could use the platform for both. So it's been
Yeah.
pretty convenient.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. It works in so many places, and you can just log into one dashboard and see all of it, which is pretty
Yeah.
nice. Um, Almost at the hour, but a couple more questions. Best cashback website to use. Um, I just go on cashbackmonitor.com. It shows all the cashback websites, how much you're paying. I always go through a cashback portal when I can, but I never expect to get anything from it. It's like such a toss up whether actually get paid for cashback websites. I think they stop if they realize you're reselling, which can happen pretty
Yep.
fast. Does it still work for you, Daniel?
Yeah, so I think they caught on that people
Mm,
were using them, to actually make money. I mean, I use Rakuten, off and on, depending on the supplier and how much cashback you get. So I think with eBay, you get like 1%.
yeah.
And I think with Walmart, it changes. Last time I checked, I think they were like at 4%. But depending on the category, you might get more or less. But I mean, I still use it. But yeah, I mean, it's a couple extra dollars on top of whatever you're making. So it's not something that you shouldn't give a try. But like you said, eventually they'll catch on, especially if you start generating a lot of it, and
Hmm.
they might terminate your account.
Yeah, I just signed up for Rakuten recently and started using it, and it works for some sites I bought off of. I tried to use it for eBay, and I've never received anything for using it on eBay. So I'm not sure what's up with that. Maybe they relabeled me as a reseller right from the bat. I don't know, but yeah, are you tax exempt on eBay?
No, I'm not. I'm not tax
Oh,
exempt.
it's pretty easy to do. You should look into it. Because I got that. It wasn't hard to do at all. Um, well, I'm only tax exempt in one state. Maybe it's harder for multiple states. I don't know. But yeah, take a look at it. You might be able to
Yeah,
save some money.
that's what I've heard too. That you can get it done for one state. Now
Um,
multi-state, that's kind of up in the air. I maybe need to do a little bit more homework and see if you can do it for multiple states. Unless you already know if you can do it for multiple states.
I don't know because, like I said, I wasn't really drop
Okay.
shipping from eBay. I was just using it for OA, so it's coming to my house anyway. So I just got tax
Right.
exempt in Colorado here, but that's it.
Of course. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Anthony says he can't see me bad mouthing anyone. You should see me when the cameras turn off. I'm terrible. I'm kidding. All right, that's the full hour. Daniel, man, thanks so much for coming on, helping me answer these questions, just hanging out, chit chatting. Appreciate it. Um, Feel free to come back whenever you want. That way, I'm not alone all the time.
No, no. Thank you for having me on the channel. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you soon.
Cool, man. Everyone at home, thanks for hanging out. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Show Daniel some love. I'll have his channel linked up down below. Go subscribe, check out some of his videos, and then we'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.